Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Group podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington, and we are on episode number 5 with Foundation. That is Upon Awakening. And you know what? Remember, the last podcast I was saying, we're going to find out a lot of things like with the next episode.
Yeah.
And I think we found out, a substantial amount of information with this fifth episode Upon Awakening. What you think about this episode? No rating, but just off the top of your head, what did you think about this?
It was a lot more action packed, and I think that it put more weight on what's going on in Terminus with the Foundation. Like it gave it more importance because, like I've been saying throughout the show, like I love what's going on with Trantor more than I like what's going on with the Foundation. Like it's more interesting to me. Yeah. And like now we have stuff to sink our teeth into. Going on with the Foundation, so like I liked it. I had some problems though. There's a couple of things that were driving me crazy about the show. No. But I'll do that when we're talking about we go in depth more later on.
I watched it on Friday, just during my lunch break, and then I watched it again before today's taping of the podcast. Yeah, man, I thought it was for me. It's just getting better and better every episode. So I'm really excited about this last episode, Upon Awakening. And yeah, man, let's get into it. Do you want to give a brief overview of Foundation episode 5, Upon Awakening?
So I think this show gives a backstory to Gale, because we don't really know what her planet is like. What's her planet? Synax? We don't really know what their culture is like. We just know it's like a watery planet. Yeah. And she kind of got banished and she went over to see Harry. That's basically what you kind of know about it. And it filled into the blanks more about her life, where her life is like, why she is the way she is. And I thought that was cool. For me, I love world building. I like seeing what the other cultures are doing, what the other planets are like. I want more of that. I know, like they got a story that they're trying to deal with here, but like I want more of the world building. So we learned that she was like they called her. She wasn't a zealot. She was like an
acolyte.
Acolyte, yeah. She's an acolyte. So she's finally becoming more in her faith, and so she discovered there's somebody at a university, and it turns out it used to be her old teacher who was giving her encouragement about math and stuff.
Instructor Sorn.
Yeah, so she was begging him like, "Hey, put the books down and just leave. Pretend like you're not here."
Bounce, dude.
Yeah, and he's like, "No, I'm really to die for this." So he tells her about this the equation and all this stuff for math, and he's like, "Yo, there's a better way. You gotta trust the science rather than beliefs and religion." Put it like that.
Yeah.
And so her conscience is bothering her because she didn't want to actually yell out and say, "Okay, this guy's here." So she just kind of turned and walked away and let them do what they're going to do. Yeah. But the funny part to me about that was she was the one that still had to tie him up. So it's not like she could get away and wash her hands clean of what happened. She still tied him up and to throw him in the river, wherever the ocean.
Listen, we're going to get to that, but, Synax, man, seems a little backwards to me.
It's amazing because, I think I look at it like maybe being like in the Amazon or something like that, where, look how far North America or just Western culture is at this point. Like we have phones that are supercomputers. Right. And, it would look like magic to somebody who's in a hut somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like that cultural stuff about trusting the old ways and this way is better and avoiding the science and technology and this kind of stuff. It's kind of interesting that, this is a backward kind of planet that's in the heart. I wouldn't say the heart of, but it's part of this universe where they have space travel to get you from light years across the galaxy in moments. Yeah. And these guys have a boat. They got oars and they're pushing their boat around.
Water, dude. Come on.
Yeah, they're living on water, worrying about algae. Where there's technology in that in that solar system that could solve
Mhm.
their issue, like just a snap of a finger, and they're still in this ancient way of life, which is interesting considering like we're like 12,000 years in the future for where we are
Yes.
now.
Also
I got
interesting that this is a Synax is a lot of black people live there. You're mostly black, and
yeah,
they believe in. I guess the sleeper is their god, huh?
yeah.
Okay,
So yeah, it's basically they
right,
believe that their god is responsible for the rising tides rather
right.
than you know
Science.
science. Yeah.
You know what I'm
And
saying? It's
so
just like
yeah,
that's kind of weird to me, dude.
so she has arguments with her family about like if we build the water or sticks on her house higher,
Hmm.
will that help us? And she's like, no, it's not gonna help. Like, but these the things. I think that she really did the math equation thing, thinking that if she got off world, she could probably help her people better when she came back and kind of force them to fix whatever they're dealing with
Hmm.
or just adjust their society. I think that was the motivation for her to try and to do the and the death of her professor. I think that kind of motivated her to like, okay, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And there's some times where people just they need to flee. I'm rambling a little bit. So like back to the story.
No, so
So
you're
this
right.
is
Sometimes you got to bounce, dude. It's like, you know what? My people, they're like on some other stuff, man. I got to get up out of here.
exactly, exactly.
you know.
So
Hmm.
this episode was split between Gail's backstory and her
Hmm.
current story being trapped on the spaceship,
Hmm.
which I'll get to in a second, and then what's going on with Terminus with
Yeah.
their the invasion type thing that's happening here.
Hmm.
Um,
Mm.
so the Empire at the same moment this is going on, the Empire ship shows up
Yeah.
just in time. Which was last week I was wondering like what the timetable is for what's happening there
Yeah.
because I don't know how fast their space travel is. Like, was this months ago? Was it a week ago? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not really clear about the timetable for this kind of stuff is though. But the
Right.
ship shows up and they're like, "Yo, we're about to bring some havoc down here." Apparently not though.
I mean, it was that was the whole plan, based on
Yeah.
Farah,
Mhm.
the Grand Huntress.
Yeah.
That was her whole plan. So I'm just like, all right, so this is what's going on, man. Here's the thing, though, right?
Mhm.
So again, like you said, it was basically Synax, Gale on this like spaceship.
Yeah.
That was sort of set up by Race Foss, the guy, right?
Yeah.
And then Terminus. Now, if we just take it back to Synax, right?
Mhm.
So they thought that there was someone in this old university. I mean, so they just banished like learning, education.
Yeah. It's a hut
And
with some leaves on top. That's the
and again,
university.
what's interesting here is this is a Synax is like a black culture. Just looking at everyone, right?
Mhm. Yeah. There's a
And
lot of
so they're like, okay,
melanin.
we believe in exactly right. They're like, okay, we believe in a God who's going to come and save us. That's fine.
Mhm.
Um, and we also don't believe in science.
Mhm.
And if you are someone who dabbles in science, we got to
Mhm.
like tie some rocks on your on you. I mean,
Throw
they
you in
went
the river.
mobster. You know what I'm saying? Because like when
Cement blocks, man.
exactly, and the weird thing about it is when like Gail went, when she dove into the water just to try to get this like
There's a lot
this
of people down
package,
there.
there were a lot of people down there, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that was again a little weird that you had this predominantly black
Mhm.
society culture killing off each other, not believing in science, and that education is bad. you know,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
That's another thing
so
that's interesting. I'm
right.
kind of curious how a planet like that so far in the future regresses back because they've had to there's space travel throughout this universe, right?
Mhm.
And they clearly have spaceships come down to the planet, so it's not like they don't have any connection to the outside world.
Mhm.
But how did they see all this technology and see all this stuff and say, screw that, we're going back to the hut thing? Because I think that there is probably a moment in time where Cinex was doing. They had the iPhone 35 or whatever, and you know what I'm saying? Like they had
Right.
MacBook Pros. They had technology there, and they reverted back to this thing. So like I'm kind of curious about like the backstory about what would make a planet say screw this technology,
Yeah.
screw the Trentor, screw the government, screw all that
Mhm.
stuff. We're gonna exercise ourselves from all of this stuff, and we're going back to the ancient ways. Like, what would have to happen for a whole planet, to do something like that? That's the thing that was interesting to me. So
The other thing is like Synax is not a threat to Trantor either because
mm,
they're just a backwards sort of society, a backwards culture, right? So it's just like,
yeah,
oh, let them live on like, in huts on the water, It's just like, they're
yeah,
not going to bother us. It's nothing, they're fine, It's just like, and
mm,
again, I can imagine Gail, like, she got introduced to like all of this math and science and everything. And she was basically saying, no, the sleepers, they're not helping us. I mean, who are the sleepers anyway? It's science.
yeah,
We have to do this stuff. We have to save ourselves. And they don't
yeah.
get it because they're like, I don't know if they're brainwashed or, this is like
I don't know what it
some
is.
Jim Jones type shit. I don't know, dudes. Just
That's
something.
crazy.
It's
That's
just
crazy.
like,
It kind of reminds me of Star Trek, like the Prime Directive.
right.
Because like like when you go to the new planets and there's the ancient species, like you gotta cover up the space and technology and stuff,
Mm,
and try and connect them to the Federation by letting them still do what they're doing, but they got to get it on their own.
right.
Because that was the huge issue with Star Trek, is that the planet like Earth didn't have warp drive, so the Vulcans couldn't come down there and talk to them. They
Right.
gotta wait till they fired up a warp drive. Like, all right, now we're good. We can talk to you now. So
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like, a planet like Synex has to be, they have gone to technology in the future and then regress back to huts and boats with the paddles and stuff like that. They've
Right.
had to go back and forth. There's no way that they would stay that way if they knew this was out there. Because just
Right.
general curiosity of like, what's the universe like if these guys can come down here in the ship? That you would have a bunch of people want to leave. I don't know.
But it's also interesting that they do have the ability to use the technology that's available to them. Like, for instance, when Gail wanted to send a message
Yeah, she
to
knew what to do.
Streeling, and, the message came back. She had a device. She was able to see this, like, sort of holographic message. So the
Yeah,
technology, they do have the ability to use technology that's available. But I guess the sleeper, or based on their culture, they think that they
don't
should
want to use it.
not, I mean, again, her father called Trantor the machine world. So it's just like,
Yeah,
oh, it's the machine world. It's too much technology. What's going
it's
on here?
kind of
It's
like the
just like,
Amish, I guess. It's kind of like
right.
Amish.
Yeah. Uh huh. So,
I'm kind of curious about Gail because
mhm,
when she got on Rachel's ship, she kind of knew what to do. Because like like I was thinking about, like, for myself, like I love sci-fi, I love space stuff, but
mhm,
if I was in a spaceship, I wouldn't know where to look for, star charts. I wouldn't know, like afterburn where I'm supposed to be doing for the
yeah. Mhm,
trajectory for the spaceship. I wouldn't know the terms or anything like. And
right.
even though I love this stuff, I read books about it. I've gone to space like I'm saying, like I've seen things, right? I
Yeah.
still have no idea what I'm doing about when it comes
Mhm,
to space. And it's kind of like, I don't know, like it's interesting that when you're that far in the future, like it's a requirement that you need to be an astronaut, basically. You need to
Did
have a basic foundation of being an astronaut.
Did you think that that was a little bit unusual? That, I mean, this is a person who basically taught herself math, right?
Yeah.
Um, the
I
sciences.
The
What
math
did
part I get. The space
mhm.
stuff I kind of took me out of it. I'm like,
Right. So
you wouldn't know how to do any of these
do
things.
you think it was a little unusual that she was able to get onto this spaceship and, I mean, know how to turn things on?
Yeah.
They had a little baby spacesuit for her. You saw that little baby spacesuit.
Yeah.
She was like, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's a baby spacesuit. Oh, that's so cute,
Mm.
right? but but I was like, okay. And then she was like, but her mind, her analytical mind said, okay, well, she's not authorized to do a lot
Yeah,
of
and
these things.
she did the things to work it out. Like
Right. So,
I'm technical about stuff. Like I can pick up an iPhone and figure out how to use it, like just by looking at it. And same thing with basic computer stuff. Like I've written code, I've made websites. Like I can look at things and just know how to do it. But space travel is a different beast.
yeah,
That's not something you just kind of pick up because oh, these buttons look good. Like this, that's not. She lives on a planet with water, and all they do is farm for algae, right?
that's it.
I don't think that she would automatically just get on a ship and be like, okay, this afterburn's turning 35 degrees. I need to look for this star chart over. I don't think she would do that.
Mhm.
Even if hypothetically they were trying to teach her about the universe. Because, like the Cleon, the was it the 14th when he's a kid,
Mhm.
you're teaching him about what planets that he's ruling over or whatever. But like, that's a basic tertiary, just kind of
Yeah.
you have a million planets. There's some stuff over here. This one does this one does that. It's the
Right.
basics.
Mhm.
But like for her, it kind of took me out of the episode when she's just doing all the math equation thing to figure out. Like,
Like,
I get the math part, but the astronaut stuff, that's where like, nah,
yeah.
I don't know. I like the character, but like I was just like, I don't know about that.
It's the
It's kind of
again,
silly.
it's the jumping around, which is cool because they're building it
Mm-hmm.
up. They're telling us everything about it. But again, some of the stuff that happened on the spaceship after she was in this capsule for over 35 years, right? That's what
Yeah,
they said.
yeah.
She was in this capsule for over 35 years. And the other thing is, I thought she was pregnant. Wasn't she? Isn't she pregnant?
No, they took the baby out right before. That's
Oh,
remember
really?
she was on the table and there's this
Mhm.
big long needle thing. They took the baby out.
Damn.
Yeah, wherever people get pregnant on the thing, they take the baby and put it in some kind of machine to have them grow that way, the cloning way or whatever. I don't know. It's future stuff. It's yada
So
yada yada future stuff. Like
So this wasn't okay. Wow. Okay, I'm not even going to say the A word on this podcast, but wow,
yeah, no, they
dude,
didn't get rid of it. They just
hmm
put it into a thing.
this
That's what
baby's
I
in
gather.
stasis now. It's in stasis.
So I think most likely she's probably has a kid that's down there right now.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe.
Who's if that's the case, the baby is 35 years old too. Because she
Yeah.
was like in stasis for 35 years. So let's take it to Terminus, where
Mm.
dude, it's getting like a little
Stuff's hitting the fan.
yeah. Okay, so your girl, Farah,
Yeah.
that was the whole plan, right? The whole plan for her was to get to Terminus, have
Mm.
this like force field deactivated,
Blow it up.
you
Deactivate it. Blow
know,
up. Yeah.
so that Trantor can send like a gunship or just like the military there, one ship, and
Mm.
it came through. They shot it down, and dude, it is about to go off. Here's the other thing about this: the whole scenes,
Mm.
just how they took us back to Terminus. You would
Mm.
think that Salvon, right? The
Salvor.
yeah,
Salvor.
Salvor, huh? The warden, dude, she
Yeah.
has no fighting skills.
Yeah. She's. I. You know what?
Oh, girl
That's
was kicking her
logical though.
butt. I'm telling you, man. Listen,
That's logical though, because she hasn't really had any training. Everybody around her is like scientists or whatever.
why is
I
she
don't
the
think she
warden
has
then?
anybody. Yeah, I know.
You
No,
know?
yeah, like if I was gonna do this foundation thing, I would have had a like a military thing with them,
Yeah,
like just a group of people that can train and do stuff. Because they're training on a simulation. That's not gonna really help you.
yeah,
Like you need
that's
an
true.
actual tactical team there
Hmm.
that can give you assistance if you need it. Because they're like, because you gotta think about it. You're around other planets that are like looking for stuff to, just to steal from you or whatever. You gotta treat it like you're in a bad neighborhood. You
Yeah,
have no help. You're far away from. You're in the
exactly.
edge of the galaxy.
Hmm.
You're in the bad part of town. Put it like that. So the fact that they didn't have any weapons, they had no real things to protect themselves, that annoys me. But that's part of the story. So like, I'm not really mad about that. The one thing I am mad about though is that when the ship came from the Empire, when they
Hmm.
got down there and they start opening up communications, and nobody thought to warn them there's this big gun that's on the planet. Nobody
Yeah,
thought to say anything about that.
exactly.
They're staring at it. There's a bunch of people that know it's there, and they're just staring at it. And they're like, "That's fine."
Yeah, and the other thing is,
No,
when the Empire's military came to Terminus, like, why are you asking questions? You own this planet.
yes,
Land the plane, land the ship, and like just come out guns blazing. It's just like,
yeah.
hey,
That's the thing I'm surprised about. I thought they would have came down with their boots down, like, "Yo, what's up? What's
exactly,
going on down here?"
But now everyone on that
Ask
ship has been
questions.
destroyed, killed, murdered, and now the Grand Huntress, Farah, and the Anacronins, dude, now what?
Well,
Because
they've
in this,
escalated everything because the
it's
Empire is going to look at it like this. But this is two parallels,
an
right?
act of
You have
war.
Gail.
Hmm.
Gail is going to Harry's home planet. That they all think that she killed him,
Yeah, she's about to get Swiss cheesed.
and then you have the Empire is going to believe that Foundation shot them out of the sky. That's the only logical conclusion here because you don't know. They don't think they transmit any information that anacrons or anything else is on this planet. They're going to believe Foundation shot them out the sky.
Yeah.
So you have two mistaken identities going on right now. That's going to escalate very badly,
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
which is bad for everybody.
I think that if you remember, I think it was the last episode or episode 3, they had the ability to look at log files. And even though, someone didn't transmit like their, everything to them, that information was still in a log file. So I think Trantor is going to have the ability to look at
Yeah,
these log files and find out that,
yeah,
we were attacked, right?
yes, but Trantor is run by Cleon the 13th, or no, the 12th that bombed those two planets without asking any questions. They did no real investigation.
Mm-hmm.
They just like, this looks bad on us, bomb them. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think in a normal situation, they would come down there, look for the black box, and figure things out. They come back with like 5 or 6 more ships
Yeah.
and look for the black box, figure things out. Like, oh, okay, our bad, everybody. We over, you know what I'm
I
saying? We
think
went too
I
far.
I think it's about to get sticky, man. I'm telling you,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
we like the 5th episode, Upon Awakening, did not even shoot anything in Trantor. It was all about Terminus and Synax, right? And the
Yeah.
spaceship that Gel was on, right? So there was nothing there. Now, obviously they're going to find out what's going on. And then once they do, dude, I'm telling you, man. Here's the thing, right? And I actually like the 5th episode, this last episode we saw, man, I really enjoyed this episode because generally I would say, why is this taking so long to sort of develop, right?
Yeah.
But the way they're putting these episodes together, it's answering things that happened previously. And we also know that they are going to answer questions that are still in our heads. Like, well, why? Where's Gail? Where is she going? Harry and, Race Foss or whatever his name is, it's just like, what happened to this guy? She was able to view the execution of Race and also of Harry as well. They think she was a part of it, so I'm not quite sure how she's going to get out of that. But
that's a tough one.
that's going to
Can't
be a
use
tough
math
one,
for
man.
that one.
Dude, listen, someone's
Yeah,
going to be. I'm not quite sure how she's going to explain that, and I'm not quite sure when she was on the ship, the spaceship, and when she went out in her, the baby spacesuit. I'm calling it a baby spacesuit because that joint looks small as anything. I was like, there's a baby space. Oh, look at that, right? So, but I'm just like, okay. When she came back in, I guess the cube that was speaking to her wasn't there, but then there was a hologram of Harry. Remember that? And it's just like, okay, so what is this kooky machine? What is this machine? Like, I want to know what the name of the spaceship is, because she said she was going to a dark star. And I'm just like, okay, but what is the name of the spaceship? I know they're going to answer that, right?
Yeah, they're gonna get
They,
into it.
they're
So
gonna
let
get
me ask
into
you
it.
this:
What's up?
what do you think about the knife being the key to open the door?
That
I
was
thought that
pretty.
was kind of it was cool, but it's kind of weird though. Was it really the knife or was it his DNA that opened the door? Because he was holding the knife the whole time, right? So his DNA would be on the knife.
Right, but yeah, that was kind of slick, man. I'm telling you that. I mean, I was
Yeah.
pretty amazed about that, you know. But then
Mhm.
it's also something. It looks like there's something wrong with the knife because it looks like it's not generating enough power. You know,
Yeah, it
if
was gonna
you
lock her out soon.
right, you know. So I'm just like, okay, what's going on with that? You know, that's a very good point. Is it because his DNA is on it? Is it
I don't
because
know.
her DNA is on it?
Well, I think that he
Yeah,
got this ship and stuff well in advance before even meeting her. Because I think this was planned. He was going to do because he's known about Foundation for a minute.
right.
I think he set up the ship. I think he was supposed to be on that pod. Instead, he felt bad about leaving because he knew he was going to leave her to die. So
Mhm.
I think he like made change of plans and put her in there instead, and he just killed himself.
Do you think that this he had planned on killing Harry
Yeah,
all along?
I think I think because everything's set up that he knew where the pod was supposed to be.
Hmm.
The ship was it caught the pod or it knew where to look for the pod. Put it like
Right.
that,
Hmm.
because space is infinite.
Yeah.
So like you miss a calculation, that thing will go on forever. So he had to have a general idea where the pod is going to come off and where his ship needs to look for it. And he set it up automated so that he can pick up the pod too, because you need to plan for that.
Yeah.
So
For
I
real.
definitely think it was designed for him to be on there, which I have even more questions now. So I hope they get around to answering that stuff because if he was
Dude.
supposed to be there and his plan was to go to Harry's world, well, why? Why would you want to go there? Because you'd be enemy number one. Because
Yeah.
he has to be beloved on that planet. Like he's fairly important to the galaxy.
Hmm.
So he's not like a small dude. Like we're talking like a Stephen Hawking or I don't know, just somebody smart
Yeah.
that
He's
is
serious.
famous for being smart in the galaxy because he had his trial. The universe saw the trial
Yeah.
that was going on. So like he's well known and beloved,
He's
and a lot of
beloved by
people
everyone.
yeah. So it's got to be that if they know he did it, why would you go there? They're gonna be mad about that. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm very curious to see where that storyline goes. There's a lot of storylines that are going on right now, and
Hmm.
I hope they have enough time to get to them before the end of the season. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff that's gonna be left over for next season, which I
Well,
don't like.
well, listen, I think there's going to be a lot because I think they have again, like I said, I think 3 or 4 seasons already in a bag. You know,
Yeah.
so that's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, you know, the whole thing with Terminus is okay. Was this a setup on both levels? Like the
Mhm.
Anacronins set that up, and could it also have been a setup by the Empire? You know, say, hey,
What do you
go
mean?
out there. We're not going to give you much. We give you these communication buoys that are like easily, you can hack them easily, which is what they did. Um, and man, they set the whole joint up. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I know why because the Empire sort of destroyed their planet or a large portion of it, like 60, 70%
Mhm.
of the population. And the Grand Huntress, Farah, is pissed off.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
also think that she's probably in over her head because you're talking about a small contingency of
mhm.
her people against the empire. They're not going to stop. They're going to destroy. They're going to kill.
Yeah,
They're
it's
going to
gonna be a problem.
massacre.
Well, I think for
you
Foundation though,
know.
like I think Harry set up everything for them to be down there, and
Mm,
he was hoping that they would go to this planet in the first place.
yeah.
Especially in the book, there it's alluded to that was his goal was to get them to kind of talk them into setting them out there. They thought it was banishment, but the goal was to actually do this in the first place.
Mm,
So I don't know how far the TV show is going to deviate from what the stuff is from the book, but at least from the book standpoint, Harry wanted them to go to the terminus. That was
Yeah.
the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have one issue though with a lot
Right.
of this stuff with
What
the
is it?
18-degree planning, because
Mm-hmm.
like like you can do so much planning, but like life doesn't work that way that you could automatically know where the thing is going to be. Because this whole entire series is 18th degree chess, like right?
Yeah.
Everybody's making moves,
Yeah.
15 moves in advance. So like Farah, she did the thing to get to the building so she could do
Mm-hmm.
the thing with her eye. Because she didn't do that, that would have been a problem.
Yeah.
Because they would have shot they would have found the cannon and shot it. Like they would have she would have had trouble, put it like that. So that was a lot riding on the fact that she had to get to this building. And then, look at Foundation, what they're doing over there. They're basically pinning all their hopes to get here and not have any issues from any other planets around them,
Yeah.
especially two planets that got destroyed that
Which
hate
is
each
why
other.
they don't have a military. They're like, oh, no one's gonna mess
Yeah,
with us. We're the Foundation. Like
exactly. Like there's a lot
we.
of
Yeah.
moves in advance, chess pieces. Like Race, he's
Mm-hmm.
got his pod there, and the ship's gonna pick him up. These are a lot of movements and way in advance, and things are working kind of according to plan, at least for the most part. We don't really know because I've read the book, so I can't say, and I don't
Right.
know where the TV show is gonna go with stuff. But like
Mm-hmm.
I would say this for the show is though, there's a lot of stuff that's a lot of steps in advance, and like that kind of stuff annoys me unless it's done well or
Mm-hmm.
believable. Because usually life doesn't work like that. A lot of times with life, all your movements fall apart, and you gotta adjust and adjust and
Yeah.
adjust to kind of get to where you're supposed to
That's
be.
what
So
life is all about. Adjusting.
yeah, yeah, basically.
But Farah, man, they sort of
She's an
knew.
interesting character.
They
I like
sort of
her.
exactly. They sort of knew exactly how this was going to happen. Exactly how the Empire would
Mm.
react. I guess they also knew that the Empire would only send one ship. But I
Mm.
mean, the other thing is like, what's his name? Dusk was the one who said, go check out Terminus. So he was the
Yeah,
one who told them to go check out Terminus. So it wasn't anything that came from, Day. It came from Dusk because
yeah,
he kind of,
it's done.
he was kind of like the one who set it up anyway from the beginning before he
Yeah,
became
it's kind of
Dusk.
his problem.
Yeah, it's
He,
his
yeah,
problem. So,
yeah.
yeah, man, it's
The
going to
next show's gonna be
be.
interesting because I think we're gonna go
Mhm.
back to Trantor because they're gonna be hot that one of their spaceships got shot out the sky. They're gonna be mad
Yeah.
about that.
Trantor has a lot of things they have to deal with.
Mm.
Again, I'm totally surprised that Terminus didn't have like special ops or like a brigade. Give me 1,000 people. Like a force of like 100 highly trained, people to protect what you're
Yeah,
doing. It's just like,
anti-aircraft guns or
come
something. They
on,
just have
yeah,
a fence and a couple rifles.
that's
That's the
it.
thing
And
that
mhm,
Salver doesn't know how to fight because she brought a rifle into the hallway. They used a handgun or a knife or something.
a
You
long
don't use a
gun,
long
dude.
gun.
It's just like, are you
You do not bring a
serious?
long gun in a hallway. That's insane.
And Farrah kicked the butt with handcuffs on.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
She that's you could they goes back to what you said. She doesn't have proper training.
yeah.
Because instantly you put the rifle on your shoulder, you pull
Mhm.
out the handgun, because the handgun's better for maneuvering around
Right.
hallways and stuff.
Yeah.
Because what
I
happened? She was just kicking the gun around like
she's
easy,
now see, I
easy
thought
with
like
this.
before we wrap this up, let me just say this. I thought two things may happen, but
Mm-hmm.
one of them did, right? So when the Anacronins were like, just invaded like Terminus, right? I thought that one or two things would happen. One, Trantor would send a ship, like the military there and try to like save or do whatever. They did send a ship and the ship got destroyed. The other thing I thought could happen was that the vault would
Mm-hmm.
come to life and do something to protect at least the warden, and the
Yeah.
warden's people because she's the only one who can get close to the vault. But, that didn't happen. Again, the vault is another story that we have absolutely no idea about. At least
Yeah.
those who did not read the book has absolutely no
Yeah.
idea about. So
I think that the vault is not going to get activated until the end of the season. We're not going to know anything about it until the end of the season. And
yeah,
that's the cliffhanger.
wow. All
It's
right,
just sitting
dude.
here.
It's just it's something, and it was there like when they got there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, I mean, and you know, the Empire doesn't know about this, but it was there, when the Foundation folks got there. Pretty interesting, pretty weird, but again, I think that I know that they're going to tell us about that. There's going to be a
I
nice
hope
little
so.
story about that.
I'll say this though before we wrap up.
What's
I
up?
think as a show, it's really good.
Yeah,
Book people who read the book are infuriated right now.
dude, man.
This is deviating so much about what they know about the book. Like it's all over
Yeah.
the place. And so I was reading some stuff about people who read the book, and I understand their gripes. I understand from where they're coming from. But like as a show, if you take away the name Foundation and just have a sci-fi show, this is really good.
Yeah,
But people expecting it to go follow what's happening in the stories, this is not going to be tough sledding. It's going to be very tough sledding for you. Put it like that.
you have the diehard book people, and again, you got to give them a little.
I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah,
I'm the same way about
too.
things.
But
I understand.
you know what? Hey, it is what it is, and thus far, I like it. So, give me your rating on Foundation Episode 5, Upon Awakening.
I give it a solid 8. I like this show. I like this episode a lot.
Okay.
I had some problems with it, but I liked the overall what happened. The action was good. Visuals were stunning. When they shot the ship out of the sky, I was like, holy crap.
That was bananas, wasn't it, dude?
That is the budget for a lot of TV shows. They're a whole season.
Like the whole season, dude.
The whole season. That one clip of that ship coming down.
I mean, how many developers you need to create that scene? Just sitting behind a computer like,
Yeah.
Okay. I also gave it an 8. But again, like I said, I'm going to add my little 1 point because of the graphics. So I'm giving it a 9, dude, for real. I like everything about this episode. This episode was just off the chain for me, and it wasn't a lot going on, but enough was going on to, I'm like, hey, okay, what's going on with the next episode? I want to see what's going on with the next episode. They are doing an excellent job at holding us just giving us enough information and just having us go nuts over the next episode. So I'm just like, I can't wait to the next episode. Oh, wow, this is pretty dope. I mean, I'm watching these episodes over and over again. They are so good. This is a great series thus far. We're only into episode 5. It's solid, man. I'm telling you.
I got to dock Salvor for being the warden. Why are you leaving the tower, man? You shouldn't be outside on the field. What are you doing? Because if she was in the tower, that whole thing would have gone differently.
Yeah.
She already knew that they have the gun out there, the rocket launcher. She already
but like
knew
you
about
said,
that.
She didn't say that to the ship that was there. She didn't say, listen, they have a cannon,
her,
whatever.
But I'll ship her off planet. You are useless.
Dude, you're getting I'm docking your pay for real.
Terrible. You allowed these ships to land. You got captured how many times?
I'm docking your pay.
Get captured twice.
I'm docking your pay, dude.
You didn't warn the Empire that they had weapons down there. It's embarrassing, all the things, the failures that she did in this one show. She actually left you left your criminal, your person that you had locked up, in the hands of idiots and morons. Scientists they're not. These guys are weaklings. They're like, whatever authority's in charge, we're gonna follow you.
They are useless. Scientists. They have no idea about this whole military stuff.
You know what it is? Street awareness. That thing about, you can tell oh, I'm in danger right now. They don't have that.
None.
Their brains are worried about ones and twos, whatever, which is cool, whatever. Because I'm like that too. But they have no street awareness.
None, dude. And it's insane.
These guys that are there, you've been butting heads with them this entire time. Why would you leave them alone? I would have never done that. I would
Yeah.
have sent somebody out there and give me an update that's on the field. Because
Yeah.
you didn't need to be there. You should have stayed in the building.
And the other thing is, the Empire with all of its technology, you mean to tell me you don't have any like proximity
Yeah.
buoys or
silly.
alerts? Just so it's not even, that Terminus is getting like an alert because something is approaching them. But the Empire, Trantor, is getting an alert because they have the technologies. It's like, oh, listen, beep, beep, beep. Look, we look like we have like 3 gunships, the Corvettes or whatever they're calling them,
I'll say this before we wrap up. I remember in Battlestar Galactica when they opened up the bays and they knew that there was nuclear weapons about to be armed.
Yeah.
The they ships knew it. Everybody knew it.
Yeah.
Everybody knew, like, oh wait, something's about to happen. Like, okay,
we about to get
how
Swiss
does the
cheese.
Empire let a weapon like that and they don't have no defenses for it? 0 defenses. The TV show writers were like, oh no, we're too close to the planet. That's why we can't maneuver. F that. I would have burnt the planet and flew right back up the atmosphere before I get myself shot down. Because that's what they normally do. Like, oh, we just could go back in the atmosphere and then come back down and deal with it, or at least have some kind of alert. What kind of backwater planet that you bombed can get their hands on technology that can be cloaked from the Empire? Yeah. I've got questions. All right, I got questions. But like, this is the thing though. Even with all of that, I still enjoyed the show.
Totally enjoyed it.
I like the show. I don't know what's going on next, and I don't really have the same invested as people who wrote the books or whatever. Like, I don't have the same. I just like, this is a sci-fi show. I like space. I like this kind of stuff. This is right my alley, at least for now. I think the show is going to be good.
This show is going to be good. It's going to win a lot of awards too.
Yeah. Anyways, let's wrap up.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.
All right.